Hello, we are live by the looks of things. Welcome to first guest episode of Aaron Sneeze POV, and thank you very much to Dean Leshak for joining me for a deep and meaningful conversation. So we'll run through a bit about Dean's history, and then we'll go into more nutrition and training topics. So, would you like to introduce yourself, mate?
Yeah, so I'm Dean Leshak, as you just said, but also known as Dean the Protein, stupid nickname that I got over the years. But yeah, so I competed in bodybuilding for a good 14 years. I won 4 British titles and retired about 7 years from that and went down this kind of health journey, learned all about mind, body, how nutrition affects pretty much everything, and really got stuck into that since the last about 7 years. So more onto longevity on a big health kick, really, because as we all know, bodybuilding's probably one of the most unhealthy sports you could do, and we try to do it as healthy as possible. So after retiring, I still love to train. I don't eat half the food as what I used to, and my diet's very different. But I like to think we can have a nice balance where we can still hold a little bit of muscle, train, hold some good strength, but still be very healthy with it. So that's where I'm at this point in life.
What was it that kicked off your whole passion for training when you were young? What was it that got you into it?
Messed up childhood. I don't mind talking about it these days. When I was young, I had an alcoholic father. He was very abusive. He used to smash the house up a lot, slap us if we got in the way. He would beat and rape my mom on a regular basis. It wasn't a good environment. And as you imagine, growing up as a kid in that environment, I was very shy, very timid, very scared. So as I got a little bit older, all I wanted to do was get bigger and stronger, be able to protect myself and my loved ones. So I got into martial arts. Well, first of all, I started as a runner. I was a little skinny kid at school that didn't have a chance. Everyone was way bigger than me. But somehow I became cross country district champion. And then as I got a little older, I got into the martial arts. I had a few interclubs and I won them. And then when I got into bodybuilding, I won 4 British titles. So not having the best genetics and not having a great start, how did this happen? When I look back on my life now, that horrible shit we went through as kids, there's 5 of us. I got 3 brothers and a sister and myself. We went through a horrible childhood, but I believe if I never went through that, it would never give me the mental strength that what it takes to win high class bodybuilding shows to get yourself into that kind of condition. It's fucking hard mentally more than and physically. So I won a lot of these shows from smashing myself up in the gym. I started off as a kid, I was self harming quite a bit, and people start to notice cuts and scars and question. So I found when I started going to the gym, that was my form of self harm. I would beat myself up in the gym and really hurt myself. And I found that there wasn't any marks on me, but I was getting positive effects instead of
Yeah,
negative ones. And
you
it just
used it as
became
your
yeah, that was my play.
release almost.
And then every human has 6 needs, and everyone's different to which of those they prioritize. But normally, a big one in most humans is the need to feel significant in some way. And as I was growing up, I never felt that in my life. And when I won my first cross country show, like most kids, you're out of breath, you just give up, you start walking. I never had that mentality because of what we went through. It was no such thing as stopping. I'd be
Yeah,
spewing
just
up,
keep
I'd
going.
crawl across the line if I needed to. So then I managed to win, and then I got rewarded, and I felt significant for the first time in my life. That felt amazing. I got addicted to that. So through the whole punishment, I was pushed myself way harder than most people could, and I got rewarded for it, being able to feel significant. So then it became a thing, and when I finally realized my self worth and I didn't need to self harm in any kind of way, that training was kind of instilled in me, and it's still like I had to, in whatever gym I was in, most of the time, be able to do something that nobody else in the gym could do because I would feel significant in that way. Some people cover themselves in tattoos or piercings or whatever, make themselves look so different to stand out and feel significant. My thing was punish myself, squat 5 plates aside for 20 reps because nobody else in the gym was doing that. That was my way of feeling significant. And the knock on effect grew my physique, which enabled me, along with the mentality, with the dieting and everything, to being able to win top bodybuilding shows. So I was never into bodybuilding, but when I was doing martial arts in the gym, one of the guys who owned the gym, he's passed away now, bless. His name is Jeff Collins. He was a photographer and also a judge, treasurer of the EFBB back then. And he kept on my case saying, look, I think you've got the potential in shape-wise genetics. You could do really well at bodybuilding. Would you give it a go? My instant reaction was, what? They stand on stage in little pants posing in oil? Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. That's not what I want to be doing. And it kept going on. And I got in with bad crowds at that time in life. I was working on building sites without drinking a lot. And I needed some stability in my life and get away from that because I didn't like the path that I was going down. Martial arts taught me a respect and discipline, and it kind of molded me to want more in life. I listened to this guy. He kept banging on. I thought, well, he's a judge. He knows what he's talking about. Let's give it a chance. So I listened to him. He taught me the basics of nutrition, trained hard in bodybuilding for a solid year. Competed at the Mansfield under-21s. I was 20 years old, and I won the first show, which got me an invite to the British Championships. And then I went on to win the under-21 British Championships. That was how it kick-started and got me into bodybuilding. I hated it.
See, that's mad that you weren't even into it, that you were just training, and it just ended up a byproduct of training. It's totally different reasons that people seem to get into it nowadays. People seem to want to compete for that. It seems to be like a rite of passage the minute you're in the fitness industry that people want to compete for Instagram and stuff these days. But that's the one reason I've never done it, to be honest. I've been around, like, the place I grew up in Dundee was called Ardlar, and the gym in Ardlar Community Centre, it was all competitors, so that was the first place I trained out of. So ever since I was the age of a junior, fancied doing a show, but I know what it takes, and I was always enjoyed my weekends and things too much, so I always says if I'm ever going to do it, I'll do it when I'm 40, I'll do the Masters. And I was into other sports as well. A martial.
And when I first started off, I got into Thai boxing. A good family friend of mine, he was crazy, mad into martial arts. Big fan of Jeff Thompson, if anyone's ever heard of him. He used to work doors, security, and he was very streetwise, like 2-3 people attacking one, real situations at work. So we did a lot of that stuff together, and mainly the Thai. And then I progressed into the fighters classes, and I had a few interclubs where I won. Again, I believe that's purely from the mentality of my younger years, that I was able to put myself through that and get to that kind of level. And then we did a lot of the self-defense stuff, weapon training and stuff like that, which I was working in security, so that came in handy a lot. And then I got into martial art. After I did martial arts from about 16 to 19, and then I did that bodybuilding show. Then I didn't really like it, so I moved away from bodybuilding after winning the juniors for about 3, maybe 4 years. I went back into martial arts, and that was the time when UFC was a new big thing.
Yeah.
And I got into MMA, mixed martial arts, a bit of jiu-jitsu. I was doing a lot of that. And again, after a little while, I was in the bad crowds and stuff. I wanted that stability back in my life. Bodybuilding gave me that structure, and it gave me an excuse to stay away from going out, clubs and drink and anything like that. I hated being in that situation anyway, from my father in my younger years being an alcoholic. I didn't like being around alcohol, so I chose to do a job where I had to deal with pissed up dickheads every single night. Because that's the thing you do, isn't it? I got back into the bodybuilding for those reasons, to keep me away from it. And that's where I continued, and I
And then you,
competed for about 14.
yeah, that's similar to myself. My early 20s, I was always like involved in, like, I kickboxed on and off from I was about 8. Always went to boxing clubs. I never boxed, but I always went to boxing clubs to hit the bags and things. And then I gave it all up when I was about 18. I grew up playing guitar as well, so from I was 18 to 21, I was in like bands all the time. It was like long indie looking hair, so that was my thing for that few years. But the amount of alcohol and stuff I consumed over a few years, like, I used to walk about at like 77 kilo when I was kickboxing. And then slowly but surely, I'm only like 5'6". Slowly but surely, I was like, I never even noticed the weight going on, drinking all the time. I was literally living in the pub. Ended up 16.5 stone. I didn't train at all. I was a mess. I was totally out of shape. And martial arts, like, literally, would say saved my life there, because I noticed how out of shape I was, and slowly started getting back into training, started running again, started getting back into kickboxing. But that was, as you say, it was around about the time of the first Ultimate Fighter season was on, and Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner fought. So I was wanting, all there was in Dundee at the time was kickboxing clubs, but I was wanting to do the Muay Thai and bits of jits and stuff. So I started having to travel out of Dundee, sort of Fife or Aberdeen, for Thai boxing and stuff. And then eventually MMA, like Billy and things that I mentioned before we came on, they were into the Jeff Thompson stuff and the Cali, the stick fighting and stuff as well, my MMA coaches. So once I started training with Billy and that was me for about 5 years until I got injured. It was just much the same as you. It was like it was a means to channel my energy away from drinking and things like that. Yeah.
Do you think it helped to mold your life and put you on a better path? I was lucky to have a good martial art teacher that would really
Yeah,
got respect and discipline from my martial arts.
yeah. I would never have gave it up if I never hurt my neck. I would never have gave it up. But when I hurt my neck, as I say, look, I've got an MRI scan about 12 years ago, and I never connected that with a back injury, because it's just started getting vertigo. And then I would get numbness in my hands and things when I was hitting the bag. I would get numbness in my legs when I was kicking. And even sometimes when I was skipping, the room would start to spin. So I kept going to the doctors, getting blood took. And they were coming back, my blood was fine. They were like, you're fine. So I was going back to training, it was happening again. And ended up going to the physio, and the physio was like, you've got discs in your neck, go and get an MRI scan. And that was exactly, he was on the money. I got an MRI scan, went back to the doctors the next day, got an MRI scan 2 weeks later, and he was bang on the money. I would never have gave it up. It was like, it kept me focused, and it teaches you a lot of discipline and things. And as well, being probably like yourself, I've been around tons of pro fighters and things all my days, and they're the most humble guys on the planet, most of them.
Yeah, I got that as well. Like, you always find, when I was working security a lot, I was doing 7 nights a week at one point, and I did that for many years. And you always find all the troublemakers, all the dickheads, the ones who can't fight, and the ones that can fight normally keep quiet, keep themselves to themselves,
Yeah.
and usually very nice, respectful people, because they understand. Like, we was always taught, treat everyone with respect the same. That little skinny guy could knock you the fuck out. Just
Written down. I actually seen this on one of your posts earlier on, because your wife's a photographer, is she? And you had stated that you've not got many photos. Sorry, that accent coming in. Not got many photos you like of yourself. Now, I don't think people realise how common that is in bodybuilders and in athletes. Because I get a lot of people saying to me, I don't do like prep coaching or work with athletes at all, really. So Jen Pop, people that I work with, but I've always got people saying to me, like, they feel anxious, gym anxiety and things like that, and because they don't know what they're doing in the gym and they feel out of place. Like, know that we suffer from gym anxiety, but I'm guessing a lot of their issues are probably driven from body dysmorphia and thinking that everybody in the gym, that nobody gets that. But it's so common, and when I seen that, I was like, that's obviously an issue for you as well. Always has been for me, And I've got a few friends that are competing at the moment in physique, and they say the same. Always has been for them. Always has been for them as well.
Yeah, so, well, there's a few things there. I mean, what you've seen on that picture is partly I never liked my physique, and the more you get into bodybuilding, the more critical you become of yourself,
Of
and you only
yourself.
see your weak parts and not the good parts. But also, because I do a bit of photography myself, um, like I said earlier about the guy who got me into bodybuilding, Jeff, he was a professional photographer that used to teach university, and he taught me so much about physique photography. So learning all that, you understand angles and lighting and how to make a physique look the best it possibly can. Most people, especially with camera phones and stuff, you get a lot of distortion. They don't understand how the angles work, so they make you look worse than you actually look. I mean, doing photography for any athletes, if you make them look as good as they are, if anything better than they are, they're gonna love the picture because they don't see themselves like that. With the right lighting, the right angles, you can really make a physique pop. Or I could get the same physique and bad lighting, bad angles, and make them look awful. So most
Yeah.
people who don't understand, they take pictures of you, and you're like, I don't look that bad, do I? You see yourself in perfect lighting, and after you've had a gym session and you're pumped and you
Yeah.
feel good,
Be a pumped.
then someone takes a shit picture and it looks awful. So partly because time I'm taking people's pictures and I understand how to make a physique look good, and when people do it to me, it's never as
Yeah.
I would
And
like
it
it to be.
doesn't work out quite the
Yeah,
same.
but Shell's really good. She studied all sorts of different photography, and we go back and forth whenever we've done pictures with each other and kind of I'd say what kind of things I like, and straight away, boom, she gets them perfect, if not better than what I could do. So I'm really happy with the kind of shots that Shell gets from me. And then on the day, I still moan about it because I haven't eaten enough food, or I don't bodybuild like I used to. I'm not as big as I was, so I'm still like, yeah, it don't look so good. But she makes me look
Very,
better than I am.
very overcritical. It's a common trait just in humans in general, is it? You're always in most people. There are some people out there that look in the mirror and don't see their flaws, but that's the first thing I see when I look in the mirror, and I've
Yes.
got a lot of friends that say the same. But some people, no doubt, look in the mirror and see greatness, but I think a lot of people really struggle with that side of things. Yeah, it is it's mad that people such as yourself, when like being on stage and winning titles and things, that you've still got that running through your mind as well. I need to be better, need to be better, need to be
Yeah.
bigger, faster, stronger, and you're the best on stage that day. It's mad, and I don't think people, especially average gym goers and things like that, think they're. I don't think they quite realise that people, athletes and high level athletes, suffer from the same sort of self criticism and self doubt.
I think the more you're in the limelight, the more focus is on you, the more you analyze yourself and more critical. Because when you get to a good level, like if you watch the Olympia, every single one of those athletes on that stage are phenomenal. But whoever's in the crowd will say, hey, shit, oh, look at his belly.
Yeah,
Look, he's got fat on his ass. And they're so critical. These athletes are the elite, the best in the world, but he's slightly off compared to the guy that's beat him. Is
yeah.
he shit? No, he's phenomenal, but people are just straight away and then all over social media, bubble gut this, he's got fatter there, you know what I mean? And you see all that, and it doesn't help. But more so, I think when you get into bodybuilding like this, I've seen two kinds of bodybuilders. The ones that never look that great, that think they're God's gift and they think they are amazing. I don't know what they see in the mirror. To an average person in the street, they look great. On that stage, they're way off. They're just
Mm.
no, you're not at that level. But in their head, they are. They're Mr. Olympia.
Uh,
And then you get the other people, myself being one of them, that's so critical, you're never good enough. And it's bad in a way because you always put yourself down, but I found it helped me to push harder.
drive
And
you on. Yeah, well, that's kind
yeah,
of always the mindset I've had in any sport I've been involved in. Far too self-critical. I'm never good enough, never good enough. But then it spurs me on to train harder as well. Well, to the point of fucking my neck up. But
yeah,
to the point of going too far. So
that's when
yeah,
it can take
like
over your life. It's a story backstage one day. Every morning, like I won the British 4 times. I remember the morning of every British. I wake up, I look down, and I'm embarrassed at myself. I'm like, what am I doing here? Because you're gaunt, you're all sucked in, you're so dehydrated, you're dying.
dehydrated and yeah,
I feel small. I'm embarrassed. I'm like, how can I get on stage? I want to go home. And then I get on stage and I win the whole
I
show.
win.
But I remember backstage, the first few years, everyone's backstage, and then you don't know, everyone's looking at each other, and then you catch them looking at you, and you look at them, and he looks down, and I'm looking across the room, and I see this guy, his arms monstrous. I'm like, my fucking God, what am I doing here? What's the point? My arms were never my good body part. I'm just fixated on these arms. I'm like, this guy is insane. I haven't got a chance. I might as well go home now. Then we got on stage, and all I can think about is this guy's arms. He must be looking at me. He's looking at me, thinking, "Oh my God, look at this guy's shoulders, back, and quads."
Back and
We're doing that to each other. I smashed him. His physique it wasn't good at all. He had shit legs, not much muscle. He just had massive arms.
huge arms.
I couldn't see that. All I could see was his strong point and my weaknesses, and that's all I could see on the day. I mean, you got to have some confidence to get up there and believe in yourself. I hate when people are overconfident and it pushes to arrogance, but you got to
Yeah,
have that nice balance and get up there and be confident, because if it was a close show, I would have lost that because I was lacking in myself, thinking I'm not good enough to even be there. But I always, coming up to a show, I pushed as hard as I possibly could, get the best condition I possibly could, because I could never stand there backstage and say to myself, I always ask myself the same question,
yeah.
could I have done more to
Could
look
have
better?
done more.
And the answer had to be no, as I shouldn't be there. And I know a lot of people that they just get on stage just to make up numbers or to say they've done it. Or they're like, oh, this is just the qualifier. I want to peak for the finals. How do you expect to win the show to get to the finals if you're not even in
Yeah,
condition?
if you're not, that
I
that's
always
maybe that's maybe a mindset thing as well. Like you're saying, though, that's maybe the guys that are thinking that are not thinking they need to be on enough. If they're overlooking, the same as fighters overlooking a fight that they've got coming up. If they're overlooking that show, then they're not thinking about the present moment. But yeah, a lot of that mindset you're saying, that'll be to do with the dehydration and the diet and everything just coming ahead as well, will it? The
your
energy
hormones are
levels
all
and
over the
things.
place. Yeah, you're starving. You're really hungry, which makes you moody. You've had no sleep, which makes you more moody. The drug stacks, the hormones are all over the place. You can't think straight. Your head's always gone
Yeah.
the last week. So it's an emotional and physically draining, worst, terrible sport in the world.
As I said to you, it was me that asked you that question on your story the other week. I didn't realise it was anonymous until I submitted the question about competing in my 40s. But because I've always fancied it since the age I was a junior. As I say, the first gym I trained at was like a hardcore spit and sawdust. Everybody was competitors, and but I wasn't for me when I was younger. But I've always fancied doing it. I've always fancied doing like 1 year, a few shows, just as kind of like almost a bucket list thing, because it's something I've always wanted to do. But um, like what you said earlier on, and I think I would like everything about the process of competing. I'm just not sure if I'd like standing up there with a pair of pants on, posing like you said about your first show. I'm just not sure if that bit's for me. But everybody says that's the best bit, so I suppose I would hate to do it to know.
I mean, I'm like you in that aspect. Is I love the challenge, the hardship, the mentality, what you put yourself through. Because, like I say, I felt significant because most people couldn't do that. And then all the way up to the show day, you see your body change daily. and you start to see muscles, tendons, fibers you've never seen in your life. It's insane. And then comes show day, it has nothing to do with the training and what you've put yourself through and all that hardship. It's all just like oiled up. Look at me in my pants.
Yeah,
It's cringe to me. I
yeah.
hate it. I
That's
really.
the bit I'm not sure if I would like, to be honest. But everything else up until that point. But then I suppose that's what you're doing it for. I've actually mentioned that to a few people that compete, and they're like, "No, that's the best bit." But I'm not too sure. I would take to do it to see. But everything else up to that, what you put you through, and the mental challenge, I think that's what I would like about it. And to be honest, that was why I never done it in my 20s, because I knew where you have to go, sort of thing, to be, like you're saying, to be on show day. And there's no point in doing it if you're not going to be in condition, is there?
It's easy to get lean, to get ripped, to get super shredded and dry and hold muscle. Not many people can do that. It's very hard. You got to take yourself to another level. And the thing is, I never had a prep coach or nothing like that. I always prepped myself because I like to learn and understand why things work. But also, I just thought that nobody knows my body better than myself. And I could not allow, if something went wrong, I can't blame someone. I need to take
Yeah,
responsibility for it. I can't pass the buck, say, oh, my coach messed me up or whatever. To me, that's bullshit. But coach or not, you've still got to put that hard work in and get to that level. And when you're at home and there's nobody there and you're starving to the point you're collapsing, you know you could go and sneak something from that cupboard and pull it in your mouth and nobody's going to know but yourself. So not many
yeah.
people can do that. You have to be so focused. To me, if I was doing a 14, 20-week diet, it was horrible, but I was so focused and dialed in that these are the foods that I could eat. Nothing else existed
Nothing else.
until the day after the show. And then it's a countdown. The day after the show, I can eat whatever the fuck I want. But until that point, no chance of anything
Better off.
going in my mouth that shouldn't go in there. It just wasn't possible for me. And I guess that's how I managed to get that condition when a lot of people would fall off the wagon and have cheat days and cheat meals and mess up their prep.
Yeah,
I mean, I know guys who've got into good condition and messed it up the last week because they couldn't wait one more week.
just
It's really,
folded at the end.
yeah. And they
So
look,
when
sorry?
So this isn't something that I was even going to speak about really, but just seeing as how we're on the topic, um, with you doing your own preps, you mentioned cheat meals there and refeeds. What was your approach to that type of thing? How was your diet and how was your prep? What was your approach to prep in a nutrition manner?
So it always changed year to year depending on my physique and how big I was. But it was also very similar, same foods. It was very, very bland. When I thought I'm eating good, clean food, when bodybuilders especially, they say, "Oh yeah, my diet's great. I eat broccoli, I eat chicken breast, I eat rice, oats, all these super clean foods." Now I'm like, there's no nutrition in that. Nutritionally dense foods is like beef and eggs and fatty fish and liver, oysters, shellfish. That's the good shit, and lots of variety of vegetables. When we're dieting, you're basically starving yourself. So my diet, I wasn't a fan of doing too much cardio. I tried many different ways. One year I did 2 hours cardio a day, and I trained hard. And some of my sessions are long, really heavy, a lot of reps. So when I was doing 2 hours cardio a day, I looked my very worst come show day. I was wiry, flat, I lost muscle. I felt like shit from 8 weeks out. I was just like death. My best prep, I did zero cardio and I manipulated it all through diet. And yeah, I had a lot of muscle on me, so I didn't need to do cardio because my muscle was burning through the energy. I'd rather pull the carbs down lower rather than increase cardio. So it would start off going from off season to dieting. I just cut out anything I shouldn't be eating and change the calories to clean calories. And then each week, if I weigh in, if I haven't lost weight, I reduce carbs. Next week, same again. And I aim to lose 1 to 3 pounds a week. And if I don't, then you got to reduce either carbs, calories, or increase cardio.
Peace output.
It was one or the other. So I thought if the more cardio I'm doing, one, cardio is not that effective at fat loss. You got to do it fasted to be its most effective, but also whatever you do often, your body adapts
Your
to it.
body just adapts, just down regulates.
Yeah, if I was burning like an hour cardio and I was burning 500 calories, within a month of me doing that, I'm probably only burning 200 to 300 calories because now it's easy for me. So then what you can do,
Yeah,
you got up to another hour, then you just writ off. You got no recovery
yeah,
time. So my approach was always to reduce food before cardio. And I would just bring
yeah,
that down and down until I was on really low carbs. And if I started looking really flat and no energy, then I bring a feed in once a week. To the point, sometimes I'd have to do 2 refeeds a week. This is the problem when you prep yourself, is that you need to know when your body needs a refeed or
needs
when you
it.
want to refeed. Because I
Yeah,
got people that they're fat. There's loads on them, and we start dieting. We come down. We're still eating 300 grams of carbs, and they're like, "I'm so tired. I feel so flat. Can I have a refeed?" I'm like,
yeah,
"No. You've got enough calories on your body to not eat for 6 months." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it is
Like
meant.
like the famous Scottish guy that done the fasting. What was his name? He fasted for a year. Did you see that? It
Yeah,
was years and years ago. It's like, that's going to annoy me. His name. I'm going to Google that actually. This Scotsman, like when was it? 38 or 39. Angus Barbieri, a Scottish man who was overweight, went to the doctors, and he fasted for 382 days
jeez.
straight. Crazy. Oh, it was in Dundee. It was actually here. That's
Yeah.
actually where I'm from. Never knew that. Never knew that until now.
Did he
But
consume anything like, obviously, I'm guessing he had fluids and maybe some
let me
celery,
see what.
water, or cabbage or something? Because you need some electrolytes.
Yeah, so the Beverly began his treatment. It doesn't actually. It doesn't say on Wikipedia. His father owned a fish and chip shop. That's obviously why he got so big. Consumed for 382 days from the 14th of June 1965. He must have been born in 38. 65 to 30th of June 1966, he consumed only vitamins, electrolytes, and unspecified amounts of yeast. The brewer's yeast you get B vitamins from, do you? So that would
Yeah.
just be another source of vitamins. Tea, coffee, and sparkling water. Yeah, so it was just basically a water fast with some nutrients he done. I didn't like I'd heard that before. I'd heard that story before, but I didn't realise he was from here, from Dundee. He learns every day's a school day.
Well, that would be a tough fast.
Yeah. The longest I've ever done is 24 hours. That's long enough for me at this point. If I ever decide to do any for health benefits, if I ever play about, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind it does have health benefits. Um, I think for weight loss, I think fasting's a bit, what's the word? It's looked at as like a magic method when it still really comes down to the calories in, calories out, or carbs in, carbs out, or whatever you're actually eating. The fasting itself only helps you reduce your calorie window. But I think a lot of people see it as a magical way of losing fat. But in terms of health benefits, there's no doubt in my mind that fasting is good for you.
Yeah, I would say the best thing you could possibly do for health and longevity is fasting. By far, the most effective thing you can do. And as you were saying about the weight loss, if you are overweight or an average person and you don't train, fasting will probably help and you will reduce some weight. But to a point, you will lose muscle if you're not careful. I mean, fasting, it will enhance growth hormone and testosterone. So that they obviously people that want to promote this method will say, well, you're not going to lose muscle because of these reasons. But if you train and you have more than normal muscle, there is no possible
Yeah,
way you can do fasting and hold on to that muscle. And soon as you lose some muscle, your metabolism slows down, your body will burn less calories. So it's a lot more effective to try to speed your metabolism up by feeding the muscle often, by obviously eating often, doesn't really help you in health and longevity, but that's the best way to look good. So
Yeah.
everything from doing bodybuilding and then doing health and longevity is so conflicting. So I try and
Yeah,
get
as
the best of
it's
both.
total. That's kind of what I do myself, to be honest. I've been trying to lose fat for a while now, and I've lost a fair bit. But I kind of try to walk that fine line as well as you're saying. I'll fast occasionally and things like that as well, but I also like to train hard too. So it's about trying not to pull my calories too low and just focus on. It's easy to just lose weight, as you're saying. But when you're trying to do other things, train hard and keep muscle and things like that, it becomes a different sort of
Yeah.
ball game, does it?
Do you want to lose weight or do you want to lose fat? It's two completely different
Yeah.
things. Easy to do to lose weight. You lose a stone in I mean, I lost a stone in a night easy, just through fluids, water, glycogen in the muscle. But losing fat, you're going to find it extremely hard to do more than 3 pound in a week.
Yeah.
It's very different. Even
What?
with
Sorry, last bodybuilding related question, right? And then we'll move on to some nutritional longevity stuff.
oh, yeah.
I can't remember where I seen this. It was on either on your socials or maybe your YouTube channel, but I think it was maybe on your social media. It was maybe just a headline to a photo or something. But you lost your pro card to Lee Priest. What was that story all about?
Okay, so oh gosh, this story I've told it a million times. Basically, um, I never got a pro card, even though I won it at least 3 times in their rules, and I believe I won it at least five. So wherever there's money, there's corruption. And it's in every single sport. Like I said, I never enjoyed bodybuilding, but I did it because it kept me on the right path. People expected me to do it, and I was good at it. So every year I'd go back and do the British. So basically, the whole goal was to turn pro and hopefully try to win a pro show maybe one day and even get to the Olympia stage. And with my genetics, I'm never going to be the biggest, but I think I would have made a good 212. And I've competed against a lot of the best in the world and held my own before they became pro. I did the Arnold in America and Madrid, and there's some of the guys I was against been on the Olympia stage. But put that aside, basically, gosh, I sound bitter whenever I go down this road. You saved my life basically by losing my pro card. Because if I ever turned pro, I probably would have pushed for more and tried to
Pushed.
get bigger, and it would have pushed my health out. I always tried to be as healthy as I could when I was bodybuilding, but when you are trying to be the best you possibly can, like in any athlete, extreme
Yeah.
athlete is massively going to take away from your health. So I would have probably pushed more drugs and a lot more food, which would have affected my health more than that it ever did. So basically, when I was competing, they only gave out one pro card per year in the UK. Now they give them out like sweets, so there's like hundreds. Everyone
Yeah.
gets one because it's a massive money making scheme. That what does professional mean? So when you are a professional, that means you get paid for your profession, right? Everything you do in your professional, you get paid to do it, apart from bodybuilding. When you When you're a pro bodybuilder, you have to pay to get your pro card and pay for yourself to compete. And if you're lucky enough to come in the top five, you might win a little bit of prize money, but it won't even cover half of what you have to pay to become a bodybuilder, unless you're the best in the world and got huge sponsorships. So anyway, back then you get one pro card per year. You had to win a regional show, which would get you an invite to the British. Then you win your category in the British, go to the overall, win the overall. The best in the whole of Britain gets the pro card. So their rules stated if you won your category 3 times, then you qualify to get a pro card. So I won it 3 times. I
Three times.
qualified and they denied it of me. I won it 4 times and they still denied it. Then they had a point scheme that if you get, or was it 100 points, then you get a pro card. So you win your category, you get 100 points. You come second, you get 50 points. You come third, you get 25. A way to get a pro card. I had about 1,000 points, but they said, "Oh, we don't backdate them." So, okay, so I won the British, got 100 points, and then they said, "Oh, no, we're just going to scrap that system now, so you can't have the pro card." And then a couple of times I blatantly won, and they put me fifth and fourth. And I'm not just saying that to be bitter, but 90% of the crowd said so. In their rules, I won it 3 times. Put that aside. The last time I was going for my pro card, one of the judges, all the judges on the panel, pretty much said, "Dean, you should get your pro card." But the guy who run the whole federation, Bill Turney, was the one who was denying it. They pushed to get my pro card so many times, a lot of the judges, and he still denied it. So anyway, I was going to go for the British, and one of the judges come and said to me, "Look, Dean, Bill's never going to give you your pro card because of the people you hang around with." And I said, "Don't be so ridiculous. He's not that petty." And he says, "I'm telling you, you know what he's like." So anyway, Lee Priest was over. He was with Aaron Lambo, and he was causing a lot of problems at the time, and Bill Turney, and there was arguing going on. They were doing a tour around the UK, and Simon Fan, who owns Ultimate Fitness, a very good friend of mine, he was having Lee Priest come do a seminar at the gym. At the time, Simon was putting on some of the IFBB shows. He put a lot of money into them. He brought the Grand Prix back into the UK. Amazing show. I supposed to competed, but I missed my spot on stage. Another story. But anyway, so Lee Priest was on his way to the gym, and Bill Turney rung up Simon and said, "Oh, I heard a rumor that you got Lee Priest coming to your gym." He's like, "Well, it's no rumor. I've been promoting it for the last 6 weeks. Like, he's on his way. There's 100 people here. Tickets are sold. They're waiting for him." He said, "Well, you know he's a lifetime banned athlete, and if you have him in your gym, you can't associate with the UK BFF anymore." And he's like, "What are you talking about? Like, I put your shows on. I pay money. I'd give you lots of money. You can't tell me who I can and can't have in my own gym." And he was adamant that if you have Lee there, then you can't do anything again with UK BFF. So he says, "Well, I'm not going to let everybody down." Lee came to the gym, absolutely amazing day. We all went for food, we were all good friends. So I thought, I'm going to put this to the test. I posted a picture, we was all having food, bigging everybody up, saying, "Isn't it great when people like Lee Priest was your childhood heroes, you become good friends with them," things like that. Next day, I got a message on my phone via somebody else from Bill, basically saying, "How dare you associate yourself on social media with the likes of Lee and Aaron? Take it down." And basically threatening me, saying that I would never be able to compete and become pro while I associate with these people. So I just sent a message back, and I politely said, "Look, I've been loyal to the UK BFF for 14 years. I've won the pro card 3 times, which you've denied me of having it. I'll always be loyal to your federation until the day you tell me who I can and can't be friends with." And that was the day that I hung my trunks up and retired from bodybuilding. Because I was putting my whole life, time, money, every ounce of energy
Health.
into bodybuilding, keep winning, and still getting denied the pro card. So for me, that was enough, and I thought I want to start putting a lot of time and energy into other areas of my life, relationships and business, and enjoying the world, which I do so today. And now I have an amazing wife. Business is better than ever.
Yeah, that's mad. I genuinely, I didn't realise it was a political story. I thought, was it one year that Lee Priest done the NABA Universe? Did he come over and do the NABA Universe one year?
Yeah, that was a year or two
Well, it
before.
was a while back now, but I'm sure a couple of the guys I knew competed in the Universe that year as well. And that's what I thought the story was. That's what I thought I was asking. I thought he beat you on stage, and like
Yeah.
I know you two are pals, but I didn't realise it was political. But that's shocking. That's terrible.
It's
How many sort of years did you put your life and soul in it just to be denied for political reasons?
for 14 years, every penny I had. Some of the shows would cost me £2,000 to £3,000 for me to compete, and I never won one penny back, even all the shows that I won. So I had at one point I had quite a few sponsors, which helped massively. I had food sponsors, protein, clothing, tanning, all sorts, but never got paid. It was always, which helped a lot massively because it cost a fortune at that kind of level. But yeah, that's how it was. So anyone who wants to get into bodybuilding for the money, um,
Yeah, but you find that with most sports anyway, unless you end up a superstar, especially combat sports. Like, unless you end up, I know a few pro boxers and my pals fought on like Cage Warriors and things. Unless you end up a star, there's no huge amount of money in it in any of the sports, really, is it?
yeah. Well, I mean, you're right that there's it's very little money, but even in Thai boxing, as soon as you take pro and you're taking fights, you're getting a couple £100 a fight. It's nothing, but you're getting paid for it at least.
Yeah, yeah. I think with the likes of that, with the Muay Thai, I think well now that one has their Muay Thai division and that might possibly potentially change with the likes of Liam Harrison and that. He's actually a household name now, sort of thing. But if one hadn't have done that with their federation, then Muay Thai would probably still be relatively unknown in comparison to the rest of the MMA world anyway, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of money in some sports now in instead of boxing, MMA, but you've got to be high level. I find that the UK do not push athletes at all. It's very hard to make it in the UK compared to other countries. Here's a story. When I competed at the Arnold US, I was against a guy called Sammy. Cost me £3,000 to compete. He's from, I'm not sure, somewhere Middle Eastern country. His country was giving him $35,000 a month to be an amateur, and that was the guy I was against. He's on $35,000 a month, and it cost me £3,000.
Yeah,
That's the
to
difference.
even do it.
Is how they push their athletes because they're proud of their athletes in the countries. Say
Was he
America
like
is a
Was
lot
he
easier.
like Iranian? Was he
And
Iranian or something? Because there's a lot
somewhere
of big.
it is, I mean, it's a Muslim country. Maybe I can't remember exactly where. Maybe Saudi or something.
Right.
They they really push their athletes there.
Yeah. So, moving on to the nutrition. How do you like? We went through your preps and things when you were bodybuilding. What's your approach to your nutrition now when you're trying to walk that line of sort of longevity, keeping healthy, but still keeping as much muscle mass as possible? How do you kind of approach things now?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very conflicting to do bodybuilding and be as healthy as possible. And whenever you're pushing it to the extreme, say, I believe we can get a nice balance to look good and be super healthy. The more you look good, the more that health's going to go down. The more healthy you get, the worse you're going to look. Not as in looking good, I mean holding muscle and being big and muscular. It has to have that balance. And when one's up and you're extremely muscular, your health's going to be down. When you go for pure super health, you're going to lose a lot of muscle. So I like to try to hold. I stay up. You say you're 5'6", I think I'm 5'7". I like to stay now around about 100 kilo lean, and I feel good at that. So I've been much bigger and more bloated, and I felt awful. So now I do this approach where I do 3 month on, 3 month off. So 3 months on trying to look a bit better, 3 months on focusing more on health.
In
And
health.
I get my regular blood work, and I find by doing this that balance is really nice, and my blood work comes back perfect. So I still obviously there's a lot of drugs involved in bodybuilding. I was never one to take high dosages. Lee's a perfect example. Lee Priest, to see a genetic freak who hardly took anything, but nobody would believe him because of how big and how good he looked. You don't need crazy amount of drugs. You just need to be sensible and put in the hard work. I was never one for big dosages. Now I'm don't compete, I only take testosterone, and I would do about 500 milligram a week, which a lot of people call that a cruise or a it's
Yeah.
madness. That's still,
Sports to you.
yeah, it's still 5 times the amount of what a guy in his prime would produce. So I do this for say 3 months, a 12-week course, and then I come off everything. I go cold turkey. I don't do no um, PCT or anything because I'm only running 500 milligram. I find within weeks, months, say 6 to 8 weeks, normally when I come off, I get my bloods done and my testosterone levels are back to low to mid ranges of normal. So my body kickstarts back in. I'm producing, I'm 44 in May, so everything's still running fine. If I was going to try to have a kid or something like that, then I would stay off for a much longer time and go down the route of doing a proper protocol to make sure everything's running properly. But for my balance and my blood work at the moment, doing that 3 months on, 3 months off seems to be working very well. As in the food wise, when I was competing, it'd be 6 to 8 meals a day with a lot of carbs, high protein, fairly low fats, very high carb. Now,
How much carbs would you say when you were at your biggest, heaviest sort of off season? What was the numbers carb wise?
I was doing 4,500 calories a day clean, no bad food, no junk, and very low fat. So it was a lot of food. Would have been at least 100 gram of carb per meal for a good 6 meals a day, sometimes 800, 6 to 800, I'd say, when I was pushing food. Now my approach is when I'm trying to look good, I take that little bit of testosterone. I have a little bit of carb, but it's low to moderate. I'd probably have 100, 200 grams a day. I don't track my food anymore. Maybe the odd day I'll have 300, but it'd be potatoes or rice. I don't have really any processed foods. Um, I used to eat 6 to 8 meals. Now it would be, I try to get closer to six when I'm looking good, but it's more like four, maybe five. So I have fairly high protein, low to moderate carbs. I push the fats a lot higher, good fats. As in, I have a lot of red meat, a lot of egg yolks, lots of fatty fish. I'll have some nuts, avocado oil, lots of ghee, grass-fed butters, stuff like that. Whereas when I was bodybuilding, we was always taught to stay away from fat and be lean. Whereas for health, you need these good fats. Doctors will tell you to stay away from saturated fat. It's bad for you. Cholesterol's bad for you. It's actually the opposite. You need saturated fats and cholesterol, and that's what's going to regulate your hormones and your brain health. One of the biggest problems in the Western world is the pharmaceutical companies, because they're so big and have so much money now. They have a massive input and influence over what doctors are taught in universities. So about 80 to 90% of the funding is paid for by big pharma. So
Big
they
pharma.
tell the universities what to teach doctors. So basically, they become drug pushers. Some of these drugs, doctors also get kickbacks for when they get patients onto the drugs. Things like the vaccination that was rolled out, doctors were getting a payout per person they put them on.
Yeah.
So they were
Yeah, I
really trying.
remember hearing about that actually. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, things like statins as well. I mean, a statin will shut down your cholesterol. So if you go back, say, 30 years, normal cholesterol levels would be up to about 15, and they say that's okay. Then statins came out and they dropped this number 15 down to 5. So anyone whose total cholesterol is over 5, they say you need to go on statins and they get a payout for it. And they push you onto statins, which will shut your cholesterol down. And then give it 10, 20 years, you've got no hormone production, your testosterone's super low. So then you need more drugs. The doctor will be, oh yeah, I've got something else to give you some libido. Some little blue pills here for the bedroom. Don't worry about that. which also have other side effects. And then your brain starts to deteriorate, and things like Alzheimer's and dementia can kick in.
Yeah, with the lack
There's
of
no
cholesterol for the brain. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a brand new study just what's the guy? Is it Nick Norowitz? He has just done a ketogen. I'm not even want to really speak about it because I didn't read the ins and outs of it. I was literally just yesterday I seen him posting it, but he was involved in the research, I think, and it was done on patients that were following a ketogenic diet. Know how people say that when you're in ketosis, like your markers of health will improve, but your cholesterol levels will like get worse. And the one, the ApoB, the marker for the inflammatory marker for cholesterol, ApoB. So they done the study anyway, and the patients had high ApoB, but it didn't worsen their. I think they done cardiac imaging, and it didn't worsen their lay down the plaque. So he was saying like it's like a groundbreaking study. It's brand new. It's just like yesterday or something I read about it. Groundbreaking study. So he's like, people take cholesterol as a marker for you are going to develop heart disease when it's much more complex than that. There's much more going on.
I mean, let's go into that slightly. Let's break it down because, I mean, the doctor would tell you that saturated fat and cholesterol is bad. I actually went to the doctors with my mom a few months ago and got into an argument with the doctor because her cholesterol was just over 5, it was like 5.6, but her ratios was bang on. So they'll tell you that there's LDL, LHL, and HDL. Good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, basically, is what they say. There's no such thing as a good and a bad. There's cholesterol or there's cholesterol. So one, your liver can produce it and it takes it into your body to its destination. So to be making hormones or to the brain for your health. The other one gets it out and back to the liver to be reused again. So what goes in, they call bad, and what comes out, they call good. So there's no such thing as good or bad. So if it didn't go in, then your brain would start to deteriorate.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to produce hormones. So how is that bad? Your body does it for a good reason, right? So it's not bad at all. So then think about what happens in the body. Your liver has about 500 different functions. If your liver's damaged, one of those functions is to produce bile. Your gallbladder holds bile, big amounts. So whenever you eat fatty foods or anything, your gallbladder releases enough bile to break it down. Things like fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, K, are only dissolved through fats. You have to break the fats down to get those vitamins. So you need bile. Bile will also go around the body and break down any excess cholesterol, anything, break it down and bring it back to the liver. So as long as your liver's working fine and you've got enough bile, that whole process will work perfectly fine.
Self-regulate.
If your liver is damaged and you don't produce enough bile, or your gallbladder got damaged and the doctor said, you don't need a gallbladder, that's fine, you don't need it. It's there for a good reason. You can survive without it, but it's there for a good reason. If you don't have a gallbladder, your liver has to produce it as you eat it, and you're not going to be able to produce enough. So if your liver is damaged, you can't break down the fats in your system properly. Then you're going to get cholesterol, which solidifies with calcium, and you start to get plaque buildup.
Calcification.
Yeah, or in the arteries, plaque build up, and then the arteries start to narrow, blood pressure gets higher and higher, and then boom, you could pop a valve, have a heart attack or anything. So as long as your liver's working right, it flushes it all out and it's all fine. So let's go to now, what damages the liver? Does eating saturated fat or cholesterol damage the liver? No. What damages the liver? Alcohol, fructose, sugars. What is a sugar? Every carbohydrate you eat will be broken down to sugars, blood sugars, basically glycogen.
Gluten.
So the difference between sugar and a starch is sugar is a one glycogen molecule, whereas a starch is many of them attached together.
Chain.
So when the sugar goes in quickly, it's already broken down, it goes straight into your bloodstream. Then your pancreas has to release a ton of insulin to bring that blood sugar down. So the faster it goes into the system, the harder your liver and pancreas has to work. It gets overworked and too often, then basically you become insulin sensitive and your receptors get clogged up. You can't pick up the sugar, so your body has to produce more insulin. Then you get too much insulin in the blood as well as too much blood sugars. Basically, where was I at? Yes, the alcohol and fructose can't be broken down by the bacteria in your gut. It has to be broken down in the liver. There's extra stress on your liver. Also, bad oils, which are in all foods now, will start to destroy and break down the liver too. Working overtime on the liver, eating carbohydrates will put lots and lots of strain on the liver. So the more you overwork the liver, eventually it's going to break down. Then you can't produce enough things like bile. Then you can't start to break down the fats, and then you get the plaque. So what really is the problem? Too much fat or too much carb? Bad oils. So the starches, which is the same as the sugar, it's just they're clumps of molecules which break down slower and trickle into the bloodstream. So your pancreas has to release smaller amounts of insulin. So it's less strain, but if you're doing that 6 times a day, that's still a lot of strain. So
yeah, and as well, what people don't realise about the food that we eat in copious amounts. Well, I say we, I mean we as a nation, is like what you've just described there is there's glucose syrup in just about everything these days. There's also rapeseed oil and things like that and just about everything as well. Even your wee sachets of like coffee, your lattes and things like that. There's two of the things that are in the ingredients in almost everything. But I personally don't think, like, I'm very for ketogenic diets, as I say to you, but I also think, like, the high carb thing that you've done during your bodybuilding career, I think that works as well. I think that's a healthy diet too, but in bodybuilding terms, it's just the sheer volume of food.
Yeah.
What I think
Yeah.
Yeah, what I think causes issues for people, health issues, is having both together. As you say, it's having these inflammatory seed oils and having these poor quality sugars and glucose, fructose syrups and things like that constantly in their food. And people are so disconnected from, like you said, like clean foods. It's like single ingredient whole foods. People just think food is food out of packet. Now people are so disconnected from what whole food is these days.
Yeah. So let's think about sugar versus bad oil, rancid oils. So these rancid seed oils, like rapeseed, the process is to make this, it's like poison. So the difference is when you could eat a bag full of sugar and it's going to put a huge amount of stress for a very short amount of time. You'll feel like crap. Blood sugars will fly up, they crash down, your hunger hormone ghrelin goes through the roof. You feel like crap.
Feed me again.
Yeah. Tomorrow, you'll be completely fine. Your liver is amazing. You can batter it, and then if you let it rest, it will heal faster than any other organ in your body. It's amazing. It's better to smash it hard and then let it rest than it is to put constant stress on it, small amounts instantly, because it's not being able to heal itself. So the sugar is a huge stress, but your body copes with that. Tomorrow you're fine. These rancid seed oils, you consume them, they're in your body for 5 to 7 years before your body can break them down and get them out. So these rancid oils, which are literally everywhere in the Western world, 90% of foods in a supermarket in the Western world are ultra processed. The more you process a food, the more nutrients lost out of it, the more that... Let's make this really simple. What is the definition of a food? It's something that sustains life through nutrients. So the more nutritious the food is, the better that food is, right?
the less nutrients it has, the less of the
Quality.
food it is. So when these ultra-processed foods have pretty much no nutrition whatsoever, like sugar, it's not a food, is it? It can't sustain life. It has no nutrition. It has no nutrients. It has calories, but no nutrients. So you see bodybuilders, they're eating like cream of rice, tons of it. No, it's just rice. No, it's so processed. All the B vitamins and any fiber that it once had is long gone, and now it's
But for
broken
some
down.
reason, like you mentioned cream of rice, for some reason I can't eat that. It comes right through me. Every time I've tried to eat it, it sits on my stomach and then just comes right through. Sorry, a bit graphic, but it doesn't.
What is it? It was once
Yes,
rice, and now it's just basically sugar. They broke it
powder. Yeah,
down. So that starch, which was many molecules, have now broken down to more or less simple molecules. That will get into your system faster than sugar, which will spike your blood sugars faster than sugar. So it's putting more stress on your system than sugar does. Plus, it has no nutrition in it. So to me, that is not a food. The bodybuilder will fill himself full of that just to pump his muscle up with glycogen and water. You'll look good in that process, but that is not doing your body and your health any favors whatsoever. So the Western world is a mess, and the problem is the same people that control the drug companies control the food industry companies, which also control the media companies. So propaganda is pushed out there to tell you what to eat, and then you eat this food that you're told is healthy for you, which makes you sick, so then you need medicine. And this is a whole vicious circle. It's all to do with making money. And now we've
yeah.
spoken about it, you're going to
And James, that I mentioned that you know, as I say, I didn't realise you two knew each other until last night. But his book that I said that I've just listened to, he touches on all that as well. The food, the industrial agricultural food system is like, it's bad. It's really bad. And people are just getting unhealthier. Well, 1 in 5 people are type 2 diabetic now in the UK. No, that's a lie. 1 in 5 people are pre-diabetic. That's what I meant to say. Pre-diabetic. And people could live, as I see, like on a podcast of yours I watched last night, where Simon Fan, like, you're right, once you're in that pre-diabetic zone, you can live there for years. And you're fine, according to the doctors. There's nothing to worry about. And then one day, you're not fine. You're not fine any longer.
Here's the line to say you're okay. Here's the line to say you're pre-diabetic, and here's diabetes. From there to there, you're okay. And then as soon as I touch that, oh no, you're diabetic.
Yeah.
You wasn't okay from the moment this started going up. And because they don't test how much insulin's in your blood, they only test your blood sugars. So if they tested your insulin, they'd be able to see that your receptors
the overproduction,
and you become insulin sensitive. And then basically, I forgot what I was going to say there, but yeah, the problem is about 80% of the people in the Western world are diabetic. And what do? Instead of telling you, okay, so when there's a problem, you figure out what caused the problem so we can fix the problem. No, we're just going to give you a drug to live with the problem, and this drug's going to cause a few side effects, which might give you more problems down the line. How is that a solution?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, look, you got to stop eating bad oils, you got to stop pigging out, you got to stop eating carbohydrates, that's what's caused the problem. Instead of that, we're just going to say, yeah, money, cha-ching. We want you to stay alive as long as you can, but stay sick. So the more money we get out of you by buying our medication. Like if you sell medicine, it's your best interest to have as many sick people as customers as possible, right? If everyone was healthy, you'd have no sales. You'd go bust.
Yeah, 100%. It's like when I was at uni, I kind of questioned some of the nutrition guidance you were getting, because a lot of what they were teaching in some of the classes was based on the World Health Organization's food pyramid, and it's just off. It's just like, I was wondering that, the light on. Yeah, it's just off information.
I'm getting darker.
It's like, I would have to look at it again, but once you actually start reading studies and things and like interventions done with certain types of diets, the blanket sort of the blanket information they give you to tell people, and the blanket information that people will be getting in hospital and clinical settings and that is something like 70% carbohydrate and things like that. Now, if you're diabetic, that's the absolute worst possible thing you could
That's
be
what's caused the diabetes in the first place.
in the first place, yeah. And much the same as like what you're saying about the drugs. If people's type 2 gets that bad that they start to become insulin dependent, insulin, it treats the symptom but makes them worse because it makes them more insulin resistant as the years go by. It just jams that, just synthetically jams the glucose into cells.
And then what
It
do you
is a
have to
crazy
do?
system.
Then what do you have to do? You have to up the dosage. So you have to buy
Yeah, just
more
increase
drugs.
and more and more and more. Yeah, it's
They
mad.
start you off, you become type 2 diabetes, and they say, okay, we'll put you on metformin. It's the new wonder drug. It's amazing. Don't worry about it. But what they won't tell you is that in time it can cause deficiencies in, say, B1, which can cause a lot of problems. And it can also give you heart arrhythmias down the line. So instead of saying, okay, let's fix the problem and stop you eating it, we're just going to give you a drug to live with, which is going to cause you the side effects further down the line. Just like the statins, and then 10 years when
Yeah.
you start to have the problems, they say, oh no, it's not the drugs, it's just old age. That's normal.
Yeah. Or a lot of the times with autoimmune conditions and things, it's like, no, it's just these things happen when a lot of them can be sort of probably treated and modified. Yeah, I've got a guy coming on in a couple of weeks, Jason Theobald. Have you heard of Jason through your bodybuilding endeavours? He's an IFBB pro as well. He's American, but he owns an HRT clinic in America, Advanced Vitality, but he's kind of moved away. He does some contest prep and that, but he's moved away. He kind of does like functional nutrition clients, so he helps people sort of gut issues, autoimmune conditions and that type of thing. And some of the stuff he's doing with clients is like, it's fascinating, some of the things, just with certain anti-inflammatory diet protocols and the use of some certain peptides here and there and things. And he says he's like on some of the podcasts I've watched with him, he says he had one patient that he managed to put a rheumatoid arthritis right into remission. They were just trying to dampen the symptoms, but it completely went away. And then she went to the doctors, and the doctor couldn't believe her blood work. They're like, you've not got.
What did we do? We stopped putting poison in the body, which was the rule number 1. So then the body can start to heal. And then we start to give it what it needs to heal, like proper dosages of D3, omega-6, and all these other things that you're not getting through your nutrition. So that I've seen lots and lots of studies about D3. It's basically a hormone in your body. It's not really a vitamin. D3 you obviously get from the sun, and they say don't go in the sun, you'll get skin cancer. So put this sun cream all over you, which is full of chemicals that can cause cancer. Soak up the chemicals and don't go in the sun.
Don't go in the sun.
Good. So then they tell you that D3, the doctor would, if they prescribe you or give you, will say the recommended daily allowance is 400 to 600 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
Sorry, IU a day of D3. Any more than that can be too toxic. With my skin tone, if I went in a hot day in the sun in my shorts for 20 to 30 minutes, I would absorb 40,000 IU of D3 from the sun.
Yeah, I remember reading that years ago. Yeah, it's like minutes.
Why am I not
dead? Your body will produce it.
Yeah, why am I
crazy,
not dead?
Crazy.
So, as you see, Dr. Berg saying a lot about this. He would recommend you take a minimum of 10,000 IU a day, maybe 20, 30, 40, even 50,000 a day if you have problems, because 80%.
I'm taking 20 just now, but that's because I was a bit lax with taking it for a few weeks. So I've decided to take 20 for a few weeks to get it back, get the levels up again, and then I'll probably go to 10. But yeah, I normally stick around 10, 20,000 units year round.
You have too much. You'd have to have hundreds of thousands a day for months before it would become toxic.
Yeah, and especially where we live, we'd live in the dark for like almost a year, well, 9 months of the year, every year.
Yeah. You
So yeah,
imagine a lot of people with darker skins that have come from hot countries and come to somewhere like the UK to live. They're basically their skin is blocking a lot of the UV, so they're not getting as much D3 from the sunlight as what we would. And then they come to somewhere now which has virtually no sunlight, they become massively deficient in D3. Because the only food you're going to get D3 will be like fatty fish like salmon and egg yolks. But the problem is farmed eggs, batch farmed eggs are not going to have any D3 in it. Farmed salmon won't have any D3 in it. So now in this country, if you want to buy salmon wild caught, proper salmon, you're looking at 4 times the price as farmed salmon. The same as the eggs and chickens. Like if it's another rabbit hole, I'm trying not to fall down them, is the food industry. When you do make better choices and go for healthy foods, most of them are poisoned or pumped full of chemicals. So then you've got to be aware of which ones are not to try and get any kinds of decent nutrients from the foods, just vegetables and meats. And so egg yolks and fatty fish, like the eggs come from chickens that are, you got to be careful with the wording as well. They got to be pasture raised chickens, which means they go out, they roam free.
free to roam.
If they say what do they call free range chickens, that means technically by law they can be like batch chickens, thousands of them shitting on each other in a cramped little space. But 10 minutes a day they open the door and the chicken has the
Let them go for
choice
work.
whether it wants to go out or not. 10 minutes. And by law that can be called free range. So they charge you double the price and it's no better than a batch chicken. So you gotta
Yeah, but it's mad as well. Like, so even if you were completely on point with all that, and where food wasn't devoid in certain nutrients and things, you would still have a hard time getting enough vitamin D from food alone. Anyway, because
Yes.
it comes from the sun, and that's what people don't tend to realise when it comes to supplement and stuff like this. You can take a lot because we're not exposed in this country. We're not exposed to the sun the way we should be, or the way humans should be, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I eat tons of eggs and fish, and I still supplement on D3 every day. You might have heard of they actually labeled it and call it SAD disease. You heard
Yeah,
of that?
seasonal affective disorder.
Basically, yeah, people getting really down and depressed in the winter in places like UK. And it's just because of lack of sunlight, and they're massively deficient in D.
That's what I've always said to. That's what I've always said to people as well. But I actually seen a research paper last year that tried to debunk that tried to refute it. I personally think that's the reason, because when I've noticed in the past, when I've not been on the ball with taking vitamin D regularly, I notice a difference in my mood when I'm taking it. Within a week or two, I notice a difference in my mood.
It's not the only factor, but it's one of the main ones. What would a doctor do? I mean, any of their papers, scientific papers, I can pick holes in them because they don't do studies. Or they do studies and they give people 400 milligram of D3 a day, which does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They said, look, half of the patients had 400 milligram a day, half of them had zero, and the effects were nothing. Like, you need 50,000. Like, nobody's doing
Yeah.
those studies and putting them on paper.
As I say, I didn't even read it. I just seen the article and just
Yeah.
like I personally, I know from personal experience, you do feel a lift in mood and stuff, and then the likes of magnesium, when you're on the ball with things like magnesium stuff, you sleep better, and you do notice these things, 100%.
Massively. These are just important vitamins and minerals that your body needs. And if your diet was, if you was eating a lot of proper foods, livers, eggs, shellfish, salmon, beef, all the stuff that they tell you not to eat, then you're going to get most of those nutrients into your body. So go back to the depression. What's the first thing the doctor would do? Because these studies are done by Big Pharma, who want you to buy the drugs, remember? So they pump out these studies. D3 won't do anything. D3 is so cheap, we can't make no money off that. You can get it for free from the sun. But these antidepressants, this is what you need. So they're going to put you on an antidepressant that either does nothing or it numbs you. and makes the problem worse down the line, and gives you a shit ton of side effects and destroys your liver in the process. So then once your liver's destroyed, remember your liver's got about 500 different functions in the body. So if your liver's not working, there's 500 different problems that could go wrong that they can give you different medications for. So they're going to make a lot of money off you. And these medications are also highly, highly addictive. Some of them
Addictive. People can't get
more
off it.
addictive than heroin. It's crazy. And when you, the
Yeah,
more
it's
you look into it, the more it makes you so mad. And a lot of these things could be fixed just by stop putting the poison in your body and start eating healthy.
focusing on your health. Dean, I'm going to have to wrap things up there. It's 8:30, so thank you very much, mate, for coming on. Honestly, thank you for the first episode. Thank you for getting us rolling with this. Before we leave, where could people get a hold of you? What's your Instagram? What's your website and things like that?
Okay, so I mean Dean Lashak, nobody gets that right, so I got a nickname Dean the Protein, that kind of stuck. So that's on my Instagram and Facebook, just Dean the Protein. Or me and my wife run a fitness website, which is more about this, trying to make people more healthy. We do bodybuilding and prep and get people whatever they want, a lot of mental health, anything that you need. And at the moment, the site is changing, but we run all that for £10 a month, where we do you complete bespoke training programs, nutrition plans, fix all your health for £10 a month with weekly check-ins, which is crazy, I know, but I'm just there to try and help people. That is www.joinourlegion.com if you're interested in that at all.
Dean, thank you very much. Would you be able to do me a favour and stay on the call once I stop this for it to fully load up? Because I'll lose the whole recording otherwise. Thank you very much, mate, and I'll end this live now. Cheers, bud.